We call the meeting to order tonight of the Portland City Council. Appreciate all you being here. It is our second scheduled meeting of the month for June the 17th, just a little past 6 o'clock. Would everyone please stand for prayer and pledge, please? Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful for this day and all many blessings. Thank you for the opportunity to have come here to serve Thee, and also to serve our city and our community. May as we make decisions, comments, we think about the city, do what's best. Most of all, thank you for Son, Jesus Christ. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. King.
Alderman Bratton.
Here.
Alderman Callis.
Here.
Alderman Coker.
Here.
Alderman Harbin. Vice Mayor McDowell.
Here.
Alderman Menace.
Here.
Alderman Whiteman.
Here.
All right, next we need approval of the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any comments or changes to the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? At the conclusion of the meeting, I do need to have a very quick executive session with everyone in the back conference room if we could. So at the close of the meeting, we need to go into executive session for a very quick. All right, next, does anyone have any communications like for the public? Okay, if not, next we have public recognition. This is an item on the agenda. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council tonight on an item on the agenda, I'd ask them to do so at this time. Come to the podium and give their name and address. Would anyone like to address the council? Okay, if not, we'll go into other business. We have Mr. Jim Rohan with us tonight who would like to speak to the council. If you'd like to step up there.
Jim Ronan.
Ronan, sorry about that.
First, I'd like to start off with saying, thanking you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me to be here this evening.
Okay.
I wanted to thank Patricia over here, Keene, for the time she spent with me getting this arranged. I'd like to thank all the rest of you for taking care of our city's business. And I think with all that, I might be able to ask y'all a question. And this is something I've been working on for quite a long time and has to do with our city, or our county primarily. I have no problem with the city about anything, so I'm here basically out of respect for y'all, and I want y'all to recognize and understand what I'm trying to do. The question I have for you, is anybody here ever heard of problems from anybody that they may have had with our county's judicial system?
It's been a while, but I have. Judge Brown?
No. It'd be Jim Hunter's, Judge Jim Hunter's
Okay.
court, General Sessions Courts, where I ran into a significant departure of courtroom procedure, let's say. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, and I wanted to let y'all know what I'm up to, because it's gonna get around, it has to. I had the misfortunate opportunity of experiencing that courtroom for the first time ever, and was amazed at, basically appalled at the procedure and the outcome and the whole process. So I started down a path that's been a long and wide and winding road, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And if you haven't got anything to say other than what Mr. Breton here has just said, that's all I got to say too. I have talked with state representative. I thank people that gave me that number, and that was a good conversation, by the way. And I'm going to be talking with I have talked with Sergeant Keith Bean. He's with the Sheriff's Department. He's the one that takes like official complaints and so on and so forth, and internal affairs deals. I will be talking to our 2 county commissioners here in the 2nd district. I don't know either one of them, and I haven't yet called, but I will be. What's his name here? Billy Gemmenden?
Commendon.
Commendon. And Sean Utley. We'll see where that takes us. And that's really all I have to say. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to approach me with at any time, just do it.
I actually, I was in a meeting today with Representative Lambert, and he said, John, you had a good conversation, and he has done some follow-up with your situation. His situation more or less is with procedure in the court. It wasn't, I don't get into detail because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell about all of it, but kind of with the procedure. He said he has brought that up, and he is working on that to a certain extent. So he's going to let you know that he has done some follow-up to what y'all's conversation.
Yeah, he did indicate to me that he was going to stop by and do whatever that level of
So I don't know if
authority
he's got
does.
it solved, but he is, he did do a follow-up with it.
The good news that I have is the experience I had over a year ago no longer exists. What I've observed for the last week and a half or 2 weeks by going to every session that they've been having, I'm totally blown away with the fact that they've changed it and doing it the way they're supposed to, and not stepping on people's rights and so on and so forth. So I don't know, in the last year, roughly a half, that I've been calling every lawyer in the state of Tennessee and several in the state of Kentucky, trying to get some help on this, to no avail. I think it's the nature of the subject. But I do now want to find out what made them decide to change their ways, and from where that thorn in the side came from, because I take full responsibility for it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Appreciate it. Next, we'll move right into Public Works. We've got one resolution, and I have one comment. Resolution 1365.
If you will,
You may-
Mayor, that was done
Right.
between work sessions, so you might explain that.
We have a resolution 1365 asking on floor. It's the resolution approving additional paving on streets in the city, which is the section of Line Drive from the bridge to Highway 52 and Strawberry Street. We have a motion to get it on the floor.
So move, get on the floor.
Have a second.
Second.
We had originally approved with an amount of money to pave Westland, Westmoreland Road and Oak Hill Drive. Upon them completing Oak Hill and Westland, realized that the tonnage was going to be under what was originally figured, going to have a little bit of extra tonnage compared to the amount of money. And then once our Westmoreland Road was completed, we were well underneath our tonnage. So the next 2 streets to fall within this tonnage, actually there was 1 street in between here, but it was more tonnage than you could do, was Strawberry and Line Drive. And so request that those were paved today, and we need to do a resolution to authorize that paving. And then once we get the bill in, which will have all the markings, the oil, and the paving, we may still be under a little bit, and still we can see where our list is and what we can do with that. Anybody got any comments or questions?
We talked earlier, you did, I believe, about Gibson Street. Is that out now, or is that
Well, that was,
gonna get anything?
yeah, that's on the list, but it was below these. I was trying to follow that list that we did, but it
Oh.
was below. Actually, the one in between the Strawberry and this was, I believe it was Rolling Meadows,
Rolling Meadows and Gibson are at the top of the list now.
which the tonnage on Rolling Meadows was more than these 2 plus combined. in order to do it. So the next ones will be, and then Gibson, like I said, Link was down there next.
Were they paving that little short street off of 52 East
Grandview?
from over there over to Fowler Ford? Did they pave that street?
Short Street. That's Short Street.
No.
I just seen the equipment in that
They might have had
area.
it parked over there, but they,
Okay.
no. So. And then, they're pretty on the bill, so we'll see where we are and see where our tonnage is, and we make some decisions from there. So hold on to it and let it build where we can do these others, or maybe another smaller one we can do. So.
Yes, now was this in the budget 2012-13?
Yeah.
So,
And
When
then
we
what was,
approve-
and with some carryover from last year.
and some carryovers. So when we approved the budget 2013-14, is there going to be any more paving in the fall out of that 13-14 budget?
Yes, we hope to.
Yeah. Okay. So this was out of 12-13, and then there, after we approve the 13-14 in the fall,
Right.
there'll be, okay.
Right. Yes.
That's what I was thinking, but someone asked me, I just want to
Right.
verify.
Are we gonna try to pursue the deal the paver showed us the other night about?
Yes, in fact, he's trying to hope, and we'll know maybe tomorrow for sure, but I think he's going to he's doing a demonstration, I think, in White House Thursday, and wants to come up here Friday. So I think if everything works, hopefully we'll know tomorrow. I can let y'all know, but he's going to try to do his,
Okay.
he wants to. It depends on his schedule and a couple of things. So we'll get 4 or 5 places, or 3 or 4 for him to do around. Let's see. And then Toby, we're waiting on a proposal from him about helping us with the management of the streets. So. All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Next is, under Public Works, is discuss recycle bins, and I'm just kind of going to give you some information. We've had that probably a couple years now, and then it worked fairly decent. We started out at H.G. Hills, then we moved it to the Public Safety Building, and then people just kept putting trash and trash. That's the reason we moved it from Hills. Then had the same situation in Safety Building, and then we moved out to the shop area. It seemed to get better, but the company has really been tracking it the last few months, and basically it's becoming a trash spot instead of a recycling spot. And they are basically going to remove the dumpsters next week sometime. So we'll no longer have those for recycling, because it's basically said the last 2 months they've just been taken straight to the trash dump, not even been worth going through, where we have had parts where it would be. And so I just want to let all of you know, and I'll try to get something out for media that unfortunately, and in order for it to work, you're going to have somebody there full time, and it's just not feasible to do that.
Mayor, I was going to say, I tried to send everybody a little memo to tell them that I think maybe you may have spoke with them also. We've spoke with a company by the name of Waste Industries that has now taken on the city of White House trash collections, and they left me a message again today that said they would love to come up and talk to the city. They thought they could save us some money in our solid waste. And they are in the city of White House. They're doing their trash collections for $8 a month per household, and for $6 a month every other week. They're doing. They actually give them a separate cart that's for recyclables only, and they come around and pick the recyclables up in a different vehicle. So that's having all that done less than we're charging now to do our trash pickup. So it may be something that'll save us some money in the long run, and it'll eliminate they said they were having the same problem that we was about the recycle bins being trash drop off. That pretty much stops it when they go to that kind of setup in that system. So.
Okay. I've not had the conversation yet. I'm like you. I just left the word when you give me that number to call, but not had a conversation yet. So.
They want to come up. I think they said they was available to meet us Friday morning if anybody would like to talk to him and see what he's got to say. I mean, I know we'll have to put that out for bid, obviously, but it's kind of a freshness knowing that someone's interested in even talking about doing it, because I think we've been given the negatives before on it and never was able to get anywhere with it. They said, I know one of the questions we had before was that we had maybe some elderly folks and some people that weren't able to take trash cans out to the road, and they said that one of their stipulations was they still would pick those people up and cater to whatever that we need them to cater to. They would take care of the trucks, they would hire our drivers, So they was pretty accommodating and wanting to work with the city in that, and it would save us money. That's,
They bought White House's trucks, correct?
they bought their vehicles. They're doing Millersville now as well. Several entities around, so it may just be that they are. It may add to their fleet by having this whole territory now to do that. It may help them out by having that much business. Definitely something worth looking into, and it may solve the recycle problem that we're having there.
It's unfortunate that it comes this late because I'd like to know what those numbers would be before we pass the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, we're talking about raising taxes and trash fees and stuff like that, and if we were to go this route and didn't have to do that, then that would be.
I know,
That'd be nice.
I know a boy that works at Millersville, and he was working on sanitation, and they transferred him to another department, and he's tickled to death. He said we had to get away from it. That's one example.
I mean, we'll get them up here, and but just caution all of you that, you know, because you got one price on there, don't mean we're going to get it. And yeah, they will buy your trucks, so they don't want you, no chance of you breaking their contract and going back into business. Now, I know they both Goodlettsville and Millersville had a bunch of issues around the holidays, so there's a lot of things that needs to be worked out, and you still got your junk, large items, what do you consider outside the can? Are they going to leave? You know, I mean, there's just a lot of things you need that we can do ourselves. And I'm not saying one way or four. I just, there really needs to be some quick, you know, some serious thought in how you're going to do it, and your brush and junk and all that.
We had some pretty good issues around here during the holidays too, if I remember right.
Right, so,
I mean,
but you can control some of them.
yeah.
I mean, you're behind, but I think it's got more than just being
Can you
behind.
change the property tax rate in the middle of a budget year?
I don't think so. Once it's assessed and put on, you can't. So that's where it would be. I mean, we don't need to get in the budget, but that's where it would be. We're having the two separate. If you're doing your property tax, is what, you know, someone is strictly to try to go for paving is one thing, but then if you did your garbage fee, you can't change it at any time. Right, so once your tax is set, it would be, of course, you could lower it the next year. So. But anyway, that's just some things to think about. But anyway, that's a no vote really required. I just want to let y'all know that basically where we are on our recycling bins. All right, next we go to,
Before you get off that, has it been discussed at all to put them out where the dump is now, where they're used on Saturdays? Has there been any, I mean, is that ever been a problem?
it's mostly just trash again, it would be.
Well, I mean, I know there's somebody out there though, right?
Right, so, but I think it would be,
Talked about,
the amount you would get one day would probably tonnage wise would
right.
not,
Are we, before we pass parks, is there any progress being made on getting the basketball court done? I understand we have the money, don't we?
yeah, Steve's in process, he's working on plans and all those things, he is working on all that.
Plans, I mean,
Right, to where we was, but actually, we'll get it where we put it out for bid on the proposals and so forth, and he's working on that along with, tennis court, there was something else, wasn't there? Or the Wi-Fi, he's working on all that, because he's had, I know we've had some conversations. All right, we'll move on to resolution 13-63. It's a resolution to hire a collection and billings manager for the city of Portland. I'd ask that we, motion get it on the floor.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, Doug, I'll let you kind of explain the process.
Well, I was gonna let John go through it since he's our
Okay.
guru of HR, and then we'll introduce Christie also, so, John.
Thank you, gentlemen. Does everyone have a copy? I know Doug has sent out copies of the resume and application.
No, sir.
Good.
I don't.
Should be in your packet.
Oh, it may be in the packet. I hadn't looked at it.
I got one.
You got one. When you got it? Just got it.
No, I didn't get a resume.
I got one.
I didn't have it.
Paper copy.
As all of you know, we had, was it 86 applicants? The process that we went through to drill it down, Doug and I looked over all the applications. He rated and ranked the applications based on what they contained in comparison to the job description. And from that, rating and ranking, candidates were brought in for the interview process. The candidates interviewed in order of highest rank down through the top, I think it was a total of about 18, including internal candidates, were interviewed with the understanding that if we didn't arrive at a clear, strong candidate or 2 or 3 candidates, that we would move forward to the next set of applications and bring them in for interview. The candidates were interviewed by a panel. The panel included Doug, Teresa King, and Patricia King. They were rated and ranked based on their responses to standard interview questions that each candidate was asked, and the assessment of the panel's view of their fit with the work group and within the city, and their competencies and skills as it relates to the function. From that process, we had one clear top candidate that we contacted with a verbal offer of employment contingent upon board approval. Following board approval, the candidate would have to complete drug screen, formal background check, and physical as it relates to the essential functions of the job. And that arrived us with Christy Gibbs. Christy Gibbs is her name. Rippey is her maiden name. What questions do you gentlemen have at this point?
Is she starting after July 1st, I assume?
No.
I hope not, because we want to get her and Ellen together before that. If you approve it tonight, we're going to move as quickly as possible to get her in.
Is the salary included in the budget amendments we're doing tonight?
There's enough to cover it, yeah.
What kind of salary are you talking about?
Offered salary is $40,560 a year, which comes to $19.50 an hour equivalent.
I thought in the beginning we were talking about $18 an hour.
That was the minimum.
Pardon?
That was the minimum salary offered.
Well, I don't have anything at all against this lady. It's obvious I don't even know her, and it's obvious she is well qualified. But I just can't believe that we didn't have some city employees that would have been interested in that job.
We did have some city employees that were interested. The selection was based on qualification, and this is the most qualified applicant that we had.
Mayor, you might speak to that. You actually, the
Every
mayor,
city employee that press transfer was interviewed.
What's what?
Was interviewed. Every city employee
Yes, sir.
that requested was interviewed.
there was about 6 or 7.
Six.
And I likewise don't have any problems with the candidate here, because I remember her from school and she's more than qualified for the job, and I would be honored to have her as a city employee, but I am somewhat bothered by the pay range of it, because we were kind of disturbed when the pay went to where it went at $18 an hour, because we thought we starting it out awful high, and now you've gone to $19.50 on it. That's kind of a slap in the face, some of us, on the pay on it. We seem to be starting out employees sometimes a lot higher than we need to be, than raising and impacting the city's budget like that.
Well, in absence of an approved pay grade and salary range, we've got to kind of look at what the market bears to make hiring decisions. And this is well below the market.
This person's coming from a $70,000 a year job, too.
Yep.
Leaving a $70,000 a year job for
She's not leaving it, the
Not
branch
leaving it.
closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it helps put anything into perspective, I took a significant pay cut to come here because I wanted to come here. And sometimes there's a certain value in having that desire. someone who's not just working
I
for the
completely
money.
understand that, and I don't doubt for 1 minute that she's not worth every penny of what that job would pay her. I'm not sure that this city can afford that salary. I mean, we don't pay our police officers and firefighters that kind of money, and they risk their lives out here every day doing the job that they do. I mean, the pay range just bothers me, and I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for it. It's just
Right.
that it just somewhat bothers me
It's below the current pay rate for the individual she's replacing.
Right.
who had what 30 years of service in.
I'll grant you, but, you know,
The
you're
budget
looking
can
at
afford her.
now and now,
If the budget's covering her when she made more money, then
Right.
it's covering
I
now.
see what you're saying.
Well, part of the solution, you know, if I may suggest moving forward, is that, and it's included in next year's budget, is to have a formal pay plan study and adopted. That way, we would have guidelines and pay ranges that we could, wouldn't have to make these judgment calls moving forward.
I'm certainly not trying to throw a wrench in it, but we replaced the person that left with 1.5 positions, correct? We
Well,
replaced with a
they're
part-time
part-time,
and a full-time.
Yeah,
I just bring that to light. This is not the only salary that's replacing the salary that left.
yeah, but you're getting a whole lot more in respect that now the person that's
And
back there
I
doing
I
correctly.
agree. I'm for this position and I'm for this candidate. I mean, I'm going to vote for it, but I'm just bringing that to light. It's not exactly a swap.
I just know that the council sets the pay ranges, and I mean, I hope nobody takes that the wrong way, but when we set pay ranges that start out here and max out at here, I don't like the fact that the person's brought in and told us, well, we're gonna put her in this level up here, not start her at what that starting salary should be on it.
I'm
We
not
need to be able
aware,
to make that call before that's promised to somebody.
pardon me for my ignorance, but I'm not aware of an existing pay range anywhere documented.
Did you say you made her the offer?
Yes. Contingent upon
Contingent upon
and
approval.
y'all's approval.
the body's approval.
Everything that was offered is always done upon contingent of the council approval. I think it's made very plain to applicants when it's done. I mean, we can sit here and but I mean, we're moving forward, we're trying to, I mean, is it no reflection on anybody, we're trying to take this office in a different direction, give it more ability to be a management type position instead of a working position, which is the case that it's been, where they can, on billings, we have a lot of billing, to, get our collections in better, to help us with billing these situations when they have them arise, more in overall management, and, in order to get someone who's very qualified, you need to pay them a decent salary, and I think you've checked around that the position and what you hope to get out of it, the salary's in line with whatever would be offered, and
You said it was below market. What was market?
Typically market for a manager, and just looking around without, again, having a formal pay study, just looking at some of the salary surveys that are out there, MTAS and so forth, around 48.
And this is what type of manager?
Clerical management,
Clerical
office management.
Okay.
And if I could just say something, I don't think that when it comes across to us as this is the pay for the job, I think he needs to have the ability to negotiate somewhat with the people that are applying for these jobs, because if somebody applies and they're stellar and they're worth the money that they're being paid, if the job paid $16 an hour and they needed $18 to come to the city, we might very well be willing to pay the $18 to get them here, and we may need to pay that $18 to get them here for their services. But if he doesn't have the ability to make that call and to negotiate that, then I mean they may not stick around to find out what we have to say about it.
Well, he needed to come to the council first.
He did.
And see what we wanted to set the salary at, and I thought we said $18.
Well, I mean, to my knowledge, there was some sort. I don't remember, but apparently there was a range, because
we talked about it.
Jody's made reference to there was a range, and it was from 18 to something.
I mean, I don't mean to keep throwing this back on the police department, but we start a patrolman off at a certain salary, and that's pretty much a known salary that we start them at. They start there and they work up through the years.
Right.
After years of service, that increases. I mean, the next time they hire a police officer, they may go, well, this guy here he's a SWAT team member and overly qualified. Let's give him $3 more an hour than the last guy we hired. I mean, to me, that's not a pattern to follow there to try to do that. I know it's probably not comparing apples to apples because it's a management position versus an entry-level position like a police officer would be coming on at first, but you may hire somebody that's got past experience. I'm just throwing it out there. It just seems like the pay range should have been discussed with us before we put this on television and made a catastrophe out of this in front of the public and had to embarrass this young lady like this because it's not her fault.
I mean, I've not heard any outrage, and, you know, I support the police department, but the fact of the matter, I don't know when we've hired a police officer with a bachelor's degree in anything. And, you know, someone pays for the education typically. There's a few guys that pay for their own, and, you know, that's something that they hire on the entry level, and they move to another level when they pass post, which is, you know, not even a year, but when you compare that to someone with a bachelor's degree from an accredited college, I think in a management position, I think now if we were talking about the chief, you know, then, or the fire chief or police chief, then I think that would be something I would look at, but it's just not apples and apples in my opinion.
And if I may interject too, regarding the police department, I think the entry-level rate right now is $17.16 an hour, and that was increased when the $1 an hour was given last year. And we've got officers that have been serving here for a few years making the same amount as officers we're hiring off the street because we don't have a pay range to work within or pay increases based on certifications. And that's part of the issue that we hope to resolve through a pay plan and performance management system in the future. I don't mean to get a little sidetracked, but since it's brought up, I felt compelled to address that.
Well, I'm going to vote for the lady. It's obvious she's qualified. I will say this, I think the job description, the elaborate job description you put on this job is what makes it worth that, when it may be an overkill. That's all I got to say.
It might save some headaches in the future if when we discuss jobs and you throw us a number, throw us the top. It's always better to come back with a number lower than it is to throw an average number out and get that good candidate and come back with something higher.
Hopefully we can have, this year we can have some ranges in place. That'd
be good.
All right, any other comments or questions?
The only other comment I have is that I apologize to the lady for having the, it's nothing personal, trust me, it's a management issue here, it's not your fault. We will deal with it, trust me.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
You want to introduce her?
Yes.
She may not want to get up and get on camera now.
That's safe.
I interviewed managers for a long time. I'm used to just about everything.
Yeah.
So, if you have any questions, I'll answer any.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can see how tough your skin is from here.
What?
I can see how tough your skin is from here.
Yeah, I'm used to it. Thank you.
Next, Resolution 1364. This is a resolution to approve our for nonprofit charitable organizations for the budget. To have a motion to get it on the floor.
So moved.
Have a second.
I'm wondering if this is something that should be passed tonight, or should it wait until we have a second reading, or tonight, or when we do the budget?
Which ordinance was it?
If anything's gonna change between now and the next reading.
What was the number?
Just to-
It's 1364. It's on the
Don't think
second
anything will
page.
change on this line, probably.
Let's, we need either motion to get it on the floor or not, so. if we're
I'll
discuss-
second it to get it on the floor.
Okay, we got a second on the floor. All right, Mr. Callis, you want
I was just curious, I mean, it dealing with the budget that we've not, seems to be a lot of controversy about where we're gonna be in our budget. I just didn't know if it was something we should deal with or wait until we're into
Well, I
the
mean,
budget. I'm just curious.
all right, we could, but I mean, we've generally have always set these and then worked around you know, not trouble, but if it's, I haven't heard any discussion, you know, for these to be, any of these to be taken out, so. But if it wanted to be, then we could, you know, defer it and then at the same time we do the budget, but.
We're
we've
not gonna
always-
write the check for these July 1st, are we? I mean, it ain't
No.
gonna hurt anything.
Then
if we
actually, we
defer it.
always do a resolution, then we have to do another resolution authorizing payment of them, don't we? We have. Yeah. Generally, you know, early,
Usually about
spring or
April,
late
so it'll be
fall, or
next
late winter.
spring.
Right.
I got one, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I kind of, I don't think it's really gonna make a difference one way or the other, but just for looks purposes, I can see the logic in what Mike is saying, so it doesn't bother me if I'm gonna defer it.
Just defer it.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, it don't bother me to do that.
We have a motion to defer.
I'll wait until if he wants to say something.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
I just, I know we talked about, we brought it up, but I don't think we ever really discussed it about the baseball park over on,
Little League.
Little League.
Lord.
They had asked for a relatively small amount, what,
Right,
baseball,
100.
yeah, what I can remember, and we don't do any mowing or anything over there anymore, do we? I'd like to get that put on there if possible. At least for
I would too, because
They've asked about us even I think that's a city street going in there, isn't it? They've asked about us paving that. It's
As far
all
as
two
I know,
pieces.
It's a private
It's
road.
private.
The county may have part of it for a little ways, 'cause they had that shed there. It's something we just had to check out. Yeah, barn.
I know there's a lot of people that utilize that park and use that a lot, and they struggle pretty hard over there, and they're not asking, they didn't ask for very much.
You gonna put that
Well-
in form of a motion?
There were others that asked too, and I have a problem cherry picking which ones are deserving and which ones aren't, so I've always just capped it at this amount and stood there.
That can, in my opinion, that can be said about everything on here.
Right.
I know I didn't start any of
Right.
this stuff on here. It was here when I sat down in this chair.
But in regards to what Mike's talking about, by passing that, if we passed it now, does that kind of hold our feet to the fire? So if something in the budget didn't pass and we had to make cuts, we couldn't cut there, right? They were kind of bound to that.
I'm fine to defer it. We can bring it up another time.
But I would encourage you to continue that thought pattern about Little League. The thing that separates, in my opinion, Little League is that those kids don't impact our parks. And if Little League were to go away, or some of the programs were to go away, and just a third of those kids were to be involved with our city park system, it would impact it tremendously. So from an economic standpoint, actually, it's a benefit, I think.
well, they can play over there too, cheaper than they can play over here.
I can attest to that, because I've got a grandson that plays over here, and it's cost Grandpa several dollars.
And there's kids over there playing that probably wouldn't be able to play over here.
Yeah.
I think they
Personally.
definitely provide a valid service for the
They
city.
do. Well, y'all wanna defer this, and then when we have a discussion at the budget meeting about
That's-
adding it on, or you could amend it here and ask to add it on, or?
Let's do it at the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So do we have a motion to defer to,
So moved.
the night of the budget meeting for this resolution? So we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion on deferring only? I mean, that's right, it is not deferring only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so deferred till next Thursday night. Next is ordinance, first reading of ordinance 13-18. So ordinance authorizing a contract between the City of Portland and the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation for the Industrial Access Road, which is the improvements that we've already approved, the 1754 at 31W and 52 with the state. This is just coming back with the actual contract now, so we need to approve it. Have a motion, get it on the floor.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Like I say, we've already, a few months ago discussed this 3152W, adding turn lanes and the signals, which was approved by the state. Now they're sending back the actual contract for approval. So that's what this is, the first reading of.
State's still gonna come 4-lane from the state line to
I saw that on
52.
there somewhere. What was that?
No, right now, all of Kentucky's doing is taking their 4-lane down, transitioning to
Yeah,
Fred
but
White.
I thought the state of Tennessee was gonna pick it up and bring it on down.
Not completely. Now, this here, what we're talking about is where we, turn signal in there. Now, I
Yeah.
think at some point they will. There's not any plans right now to do it, but I think at some point that's in their plans. But right now, it's not anything immediate, so.
And this is being split up between
Right,
how
which
many
we-
different
Four,
municipalities?
between
yeah.
Sumner and Robertson County, Portland, and Orlando,
Mhm.
was the 17.5. Like I say, we've basically passed a resolution agreeing to do that. Now the state's come back with the actual contract, so.
Do we have any estimated time?
Oh, Denise, have they given you any time frame? I know, we'll try to find out. I know they were needing to get all the paperwork. It takes them a while to get through, but,
Are
I
they gonna
mean-
have to acquire right away? You know if they're gonna have to?
at first glance, they hadn't actually done their engineering plans yet. They didn't. The only right of way, and that's what part of our money is for, they got to acquire, is from 52 over to the industrial park where they're cutting through the Frito's property.
Okay.
Other than that, as far as I know, they had enough right of way for everything else.
That would be the only holdup, I mean, the biggest holdup
Right.
it was in.
So, any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I've got one more. Ordinance 13-19. It's an ordinance for the budget amendments. Do we have a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, I'll let Doug take it.
Okay, what I try to do with this is break it down for you by the general fund and then the special revenue funds, and then give you an attachment I think you have showing the major items in each of the different departments that weren't appropriated or overspent and need to be appropriated. Primarily last year, there was no capital projects put in the budget, i.e., so we bought a fire truck, we bought sanitation trucks. They're in there along with their corresponding proceeds for the loans that we've got, but since the spending wasn't appropriated, they have to be done. Transfer to solid waste where we paid off the gas note was also one of the major items in there, so I didn't know how you want to discuss this, but just to give you, I guess, the quick, the last detail I'd passed you out had a surplus on it, and I had failed to put in the $145,500 of restricted fund balance for the paving. So it's actually going to turn that to a negative roughly 32,000. What we're doing is pulling that 145.5 out of restricted fund balance. So if you was to take that play off here, then it's going to actually free up unappropriated. What's the term they use? Unrestricted fund balance, I guess, would be the best way. But anyway, the overall impact is a negative 32,879 million. We are drawing from fund balance. The two major items of that are the 145.5 for paving and the payment of the solid waste debt to gas that we pulled over and paid out of general fund, or had to transfer the funds to pay it off.
So what was the number again that pulled out of the unrestricted fund balance?
The unrestricted for paving was 145.5.
No, I mean overall. You gave a number for overall.
Oh, for unrestricted, well, you're getting a reclass here, so if I add the 145 back, right now you've got a total fund balance impact of 32,000 negative. Take the 145 off of that, you got 113 that's going to basically flip back into unrestricted.
So the unrestricted will actually go up?
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood what you said.
Yeah. I'll entertain questions or whatever, so that you understand. It's hard to put all this on here to give you as much detail as possible, but
What's, I'm sorry, this may throw a whole nother monkey wrench, but just, if we're putting 130-something into unrestricted fund, could we not send that toward paving?
send it to where?
Toward paving?
You can,
Because we've,
in the new budget year.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, let's get all our bills and see where we are, what we got left, and we might have some.
Well, I was going to bring this up at work study next week, that we put something down to prioritize that whatever fund balance we wind up with at the end of the year, we set a percentage rate that half of it, 75% of it, whatever, go toward paving.
And we're getting real close to our goal of a rainy day fund.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine by
So we're getting
2015
very,
is when
very
the,
close. So
Yeah.
items that everybody's been doing to try to get us there. We've actually have really moved ahead of schedule a little bit,
Mhm.
so we've done real good on that.
And of course, that negative does include the 47 is in there in the rainy day, that's, none's been spent, so it'll actually flip that back over. So yes, there is monies that way. As we roll through the audit and make sure that we've got everything accounted for. That hopefully though, what we're trying to do with this is make sure that we don't wind up with any department negative,
Right.
so that we don't have to go through the gymnastics there.
And I
At
know
some,
this-
at some point, the state's gonna say, we can't do it after the year. I don't know
and
when.
basically, that's
but-
what we've been doing in the past. This year, we're
Mhm.
getting a little bit ahead, and so it's just a little bit different. So hopefully, we're in the right direction. Any other comments or questions?
Questions?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that concludes the meeting unless anyone has got anything. Like I said, I do need a very quick
Just one quick
executive
thing,
session.
we talked about budget, done a first reading last week. It'll probably be hard for me to maintain the vote that I gave last week. And, so I don't know where everybody else will stand, but we that 7 cents represents about $210,000 in revenue. And so if that falls apart, there'll have to be cuts that will have to make up for that. So the sheet that's being passed around is just some things that if the $210,000 doesn't hold up, I know Tim's got some thoughts and he's shared with the city recorder, and I think maybe some of ours may be overlapping, but I've identified about $117,000 in cuts. Talking with Alderman Harbin about junk pickup, about possibly raising the fees there, and then talking with the department about how many pickups per week. That number's a little shaky, you know, I don't know how that will be, but if we did $20 per pickup at 80 pickups a week, that's $83,200. Those with those cuts still, with the 7 cents removed out of the budget, still got a shortfall about $9,700, which I'm sure that can be allocated. And one other thing that talking with Doug about the $50,000 for the deck repair at the pool had been taken out because we didn't have the money, but we could take that money from that rainy day line there to do that emergency safety repair. So those are just some ideas. So
I don't think there's something, we passed a fund balance policy where we have to put so much in each year until we get to 15%.
Yeah, but I think if we do the calculation, you may already be there and meeting the obligation, which would preclude you from having to, I believe.
If we already have 15%?
Yeah.
well,
If you already met the
that'd be
objective.
fine then, yeah, if we've
Yeah.
already got 15%.
We'll look at the calculation, of course,
Yeah.
you know, it's a floating number.
Yeah.
Right now, but.
I mean, everybody's got, I mean, I've been hearing, you know, people out in the community talk, and I know a lot of them have had conversations with everyone, but I just encourage everybody to think about the budget.
well, you know, I had
Really,
my ideas on the 7 cents was just for paving, and each one of us have our own ideas, and that's good. That's why we're here. My focus is kind of public safety paving. I guess that's been my 2 pet peeves, I guess, since I've been here. And so I don't know. It's just difficult just to have a property tax. It's just to pay bills and not do something big. And so that's difficult for me. But just sharing where I'm at right now. And there's some numbers in front of you to look at.
I think that 7 cents was actually gonna cover adding policemen, police cars, and
It was just picking up. When I mean big, I mean like capital projects and things like paving and building and stuff, not necessarily just paying bills. And so, you know,
It's hiring 2 new officers and buying 2 new cars, I mean.
I thought it was primarily covering the trash bill that we
Well,
got.
by doing that,
Well,
you free
you
up
were
the
still able to
revenue
pay
to
those
pay for
additions,
those
right,
things.
yeah.
Without
you're
having to
right.
cut all those things.
even in this.
Ultimately, it was covering a $192,000
Right.
deficit in the trash pickup.
Right.
Call
which
it,
was able to.
pretty it up with all the other stuff, but I mean, that's basically what it's doing, is getting us to a even balance on our trash pickup.
And in these cuts here, the 2 officers are not included in it. But like I said, that's just my thoughts, and everybody has their own, so.
You know, one of the things, and similar to Mike in rethinking my position the other night in my opposition to a tax increase and a rate increase in sanitation. If we go forward with what was presented the other night, we would only have the funds basically that's provided by the state and about $30,000 each year to add to that for paving. I think if we gonna increase some fees and property tax increase, we need to show something there for paving. And just approving what we approved the other night's not gonna do that. So I personally, going forward, would like to see the 7 cents stay, but I would like to see about $2.50 put back on an increase with the sanitation, with the trash pickup. That would generate about $100,000 a year. And if you put that 100,000 with the 200,000, that's your prerogative. And in a moment, I'm going to stop speaking, and you can speak, and you can explain your position. I'm doing that now. We've not addressed the issues of paving, and we spent about $300,000 this year, and we paved. I don't know. Y'all know you guys have rode the community. We've paved quite a bit with that $300,000. If we can pave $300,000 every year, and we can do that with this, in a few years we won't be perfect, but the community can see a big difference in what's going on out there. So I'm going to be hard pressed to support what I voted. Oh, I actually voted against it the other night. If something's not in place for paving.
I mean, we're just here talking.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up at work study, but since we're talking about here, I'll talk about it here. With the information that's been presented to us tonight about the trash, I really think the way to go may be the trash fee. That way, if that winds up working out, we can lower that fee during the year. If we raise property taxes to cover it, that's what the property tax is going to be the whole year, no matter what. So if we did the $4 fee, that covers everything, and then if the trash thing works out, we can lower that in the middle of the year, and I think that's going to be a much more workable system than trying to do a mixture of some kind.
I've chaired Public Works Committee for several years. We've had companies in after company to sit down and look at this very issue. We looked at transfer station, and I appreciate Jody bringing this information in, and I'm not opposed to it. But, there's a lot involved, with sanitation. When you contract that out, there's no cleanup after parades. There's no anything you have in your community, you have to budget those things out. I mean, it's when you get out of the trash business, you're out. You sell your trucks or whatever, and it's sort of like I was opposed to, giving White House the ability to control our water. We can control what happens with sanitation, and we've done it for a long time. And I think we have we'll miss some holidays, but we have a pretty good track record. And to contract that out, I just think we don't need to rush into it. If we have a year, maybe this is something you look at next year. If you have a year to see how White House is doing and examine all the pitfalls, but to try to do that, in this budget year, because when you sell out, it's.
Well, I understand that. Even if it doesn't work out, the $4 covers it to where we can continue to do it on our own. We cleared $1 million last year, which went into the rainy day fund, built it up. We're putting 140, what was the number? About 140 into it this year. I think if we do the $4 and then establish a policy where every year, whatever's left over that we bring in extra as opposed to what we spend, 50% of it goes to paving, 75, whatever number you want to set, I think we'll be able to accomplish what everybody wants to accomplish without having to raise the property taxes. And if it doesn't work out, the $4 is there to cover it. If it does work out, we can lower the fee. I just think this way works much smoother all the way around for all the contingencies that might happen.
The $4 works out to be more of a tax increase to the people than the 7 cents.
I understand that, but you can't lower the property tax if the trash thing works out in the middle of the year. You can lower the trash fee. So they would be stuck with that tax increase all year, even if the trash thing works
If you
out.
put that $4 fee on them, they're gonna be stuck with that too. Have we lowered any fees that you know of?
If that goes through, I'll vote to lower it as soon as it happens. I say that right now, and I'm sure you would too, because that's been a major concern of yours. There's 2 votes. Just need 2 more, and I think probably the public could put pressure on people to get those 2 votes to lower it, and if that works out. But that's going to be the avenue I want to present at the budget meeting, so y'all can go ahead and be tossing that around in your brains.
Well, like I say, it's, we've got a.
And one other thing I like about that, by establishing that policy, and I think the public wants to see this from us, every time unbudgeted spending comes up throughout the year, we have to weigh out, is this more important than paving? And I think that'll add a little fiscal responsibility throughout the year, having that policy in place.
It's just early made a conversation and guys gonna make a proposal, but, you know, it's, when you're out of the trash, when you're out of that business, I know that there's, you know, what type of contract they're gonna sign, and on an annual basis, they can, with tipping fees go up, and we have to buy a new truck, you know, I'm just saying that, I'd like to see all that, you know, I mean, 'cause, you know, I mean, if, when you sell your trucks and give your employees away, you know, it's every year, do they have the ability to come back and say, well, you know, I need to do this, and we're not gonna be in a position then to go out and spend, you know, millions of dollars to get back into the trash hauling business. So it's something we really need to spend on, and not just a week or 2 on, but a lot, and look at all the positives, you know, and I appreciate the positive, Jody, but look at all the negatives too, and because this is a pretty big deal.
So what do we have to do to put it out for bid?
We need to work up a
And we-
RFP, and, you know, we need to spend some time on what do we want them to do. We can get a copy of.
And we've got a guy on board
Phillips,
now that can do a lot of that, what
They
you're
do.
talking, we've got a guy on board now that can do a lot of that, what you're talking about.
Sure.
You know, what do you want to pick up, not pick up, when, and so forth, so.
Well, I think anything that
I don't know how
we
much.
think can benefit the city, we should look at
Well,
it.
they hire
at least.
all your
I
trash
mean,
employees,
study
they
it.
hire him.
Don't cost anything to look at it, see what other cities are doing, see how they're doing. I mean,
See the long-term effects. and
I
stuff.
don't think anybody's wanting to do it tonight, but I mean,
Well, we
I
can-
think it's something we ought to look at.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely get them in here.
Well, I
maybe for
think
the next
what-
work study. And
I think, and that's, I told Jody, on the surface, it sounds great. I know we looked in the past, I think, I don't want to say their name, because I'm not sure it was the company, but it told us our density, we didn't have, the houses would close together, but I think what Tim was saying, that if this is something that this body is really serious about, how do we work that with if we do taxes increases, and then, I mean, how do you work that? Because like you said, once you do it, it's tied in. If that's the case, if it is tied in,
Talking about the property tax,
Yeah.
once you put it in there?
it's, you can amend
It's
the
billed
budget.
October 1, so.
Okay, I didn't know if you could amend it or something, so
Well,
that's
I
a
mean, you'd have to do an
consideration.
ordinance tying it with your budget each year to do that, and it would take a vote to undo it.
Yeah.
You know, so. It's- I
And
mean,
you'd have to do it before October. Well, I could pay him for that, because I imagine they
Well, I
have
mean,
to.
to change the
gotta do it
rate,
before that,
but not
Yeah.
what you're
When the bills
saying, to. I
go
mean,
up.
if you want to tie a certain percentage in, you could do that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
To ordinance, but yeah, the rate would have to be changed. Anyway, there's a lot to think about, and just, if anyone's got any questions, please holler, at, Doug or me or somebody between now and, next Thursday is actually a council meeting, not a work study. I mean, it's actually a council meeting for the second vote, so we do not have a work study. So. All right, if anybody else got any on?
Thursday?
Right. That's what everybody agreed upon at the meeting.
Well, I forgot about that one.
Right. It worked out better.
Question.
You said Thursday worked better for you than Tuesday.
I forgot.
Question, Mayor. Where do we go from here? Are we gonna just have this one entity come in? Are we gonna?
No, we'll have to do it. I mean, we may, if we want to have them come in and just kind of give an overall what they do, but we'll have to put it out for everybody to bid on. It'll be a public.
But I'm saying, are we gonna get a feel about what?
I tell you what, why don't I do this? Why don't I get White House's, Goodsville, maybe all their contracts, and we'll get all of your copies. You can kind of go through them and see what, and get your copies of all of them. I don't know if they're all the same or different, and that'll give you an idea of what they're doing and not doing, and we can all make comments then I'll see if MTS has one they kind of suggest, and then we can kind of put all that together.
It'll just be interesting to me at the end of the day to see if they can do, I mean, they're doing White House trash pickup only for $8 a month per household, and they're picking up weekly like we do now. I mean, even if they charge, even if we were $10, we're fixing to propose to take it to 20. If they can do it for half what we can, then we don't need to be in the trash business if it's
Does
costing us that
anybody
kind of
know
money.
what Gallatin's paying? I know they were gonna increase it, wanting to increase it, what?
They
$2?
increased it, $4.
But see, we had
What are they
another
paying?
community that company was picking.
They
Now,
increased
this,
it
when you're
$4,
talking about
what are they
another
paying?
one, and they
About
came to
20.
us and they
What
said, there's no
interesting
way
now.
we can do y'all like we're doing them because
right.
their houses are close together. We couldn't make no money. That's what they told us just a few years ago. And so I
That was a
don't know.
different company.
It was, it is a different
Yeah.
company
Right,
altogether.
then we've had
And
our
what
distance
what city
too,
close to us were they doing? Oh.
and then we've had our haul to the landfill was mileage. But anyway, we'll just put it back out, but we'll get copies of everybody's for everybody to see. All right, remember, we need to do a very short executive session. Meeting adjourned.